What's up, everybody? How are we doing tonight? Welcome back to another weekly live stream here on Celtics Digest. I am Bruce Veliz, your host. And in today's episode of Celtics Digest Weekly Live Stream, we're going to be going over this Boston Celtics team as the NBA is terrified of this Celtics squad as they've been on a tear in their last recent games, going off on this little kind of road trip here, dominating at home and showing out to all the fans that thought they were struggling in the midst of a December/January that they were wrong and that this team is still atop not only the Eastern Conference but the NBA. We're going to be diving into all of that, looking at the Celtics preview tonight, going up against the Detroit Pistons, and looking back at their last week and future week while answering all your questions. We'll be doing all of that and more on this episode, like I mentioned, on Celtics Digest. And shout out to everybody that's in the stream. I want to say thank you all for popping by and hanging out. We already got some chats in here. Bill Bass saying we got some fake news with the Boston Celtics. I don't know about that, but shout out to Nick NBA. What's up, Mick? How you doing? Saying real news, getting us right back into it. And my boy Josh Crampton also hitting us up with the real news. You guys are the ones in the right here. This is real news. The Celtics are one of the best teams in the NBA, and the league is terrified of them. Go and talk to other fan bases. Let me tell you, they are definitely scared of this top team. I've seen plenty of tweets that I can pull up that can guarantee you that. But like I said, with this Celtics team, it's great to be back and talking about them. And tonight, once again, they have a big game, and they got their big game going up against the Detroit Pistons. So let's get into some breakdowns. And as you guys can see, if you guys were in the stream a little bit before the start, we had a little here revolving around this game. So I want to go over it right now. As we all know, the Celtics played against the Toronto Raptors last night, and when they played against the Toronto Raptors, they were shorthanded. No Luke Kornet, no Jrue Holiday, no Kristaps Porziņģis, no Al Horford. No centers for this Celtics team. Namish Queta, Xavier Tillman. The only two. And what did they do? They came out and they won. And my guy Jack Simone put up a great video over on Twitter and on TikTok as well, describing how Derrick White was playing very solid as that centerpiece for the Celtics. So you should definitely go check that out. But tonight, heading into the Pistons game, the Celtics will also be shorthanded as well, as they have Luke Kornet once again out with a personal reasons. We got Sam Hauser, who is available on the game tonight, Kristaps Porziņģis, who is available, and Jaylen Brown, who is out. Jaylen Brown in yesterday's contest bumped knees with somebody on the Raptors, sat out for the third quarter, was brought back in for a little bit of the fourth, but then sat out for the end of the fourth quarter there. For the Pistons, they have no Simone Fontecchio. Dennis Schroeder is a game time decision. No Tulu Smith and no Jaden Ivey. But Ron Harper also is a game time decision. And for those that don't know, Ron Harper was a main Celtic this season as well before he got picked up on a two-way contract by the Detroit Pistons, playing a very solid, gritty game for that main Celtics team. But that's a little bit of an updated preview going into the Pistons, and we'll get into more of a breakdown for the Pistons in a little bit. But let's dive and let's discuss this Celtics team, as we've seen them absolutely been on fire over these last couple games. And let's look at some chats here. We got Charles Miller. What's up, Charles? How you doing? Glad to see you in the stream. What about the hated Lakers? They might have bought them a championship. I don't know if the Lakers are in the quest for a championship at this moment. I do think that ultimately, the Lakers are a couple pieces shy from that championship, and I don't think that they're going to get to that point this season. But with a team built around LeBron and Luka going into next season, I do think that they'll be able to kind of compete with us. I still think they need some more interior presence down low, as they do need another big man. I don't think Alex Len, Jackson Hayes is going to cut it for this Lakers team, and ultimately, I do think that they could use some additional shooting, as they lost Max Christie, who was very valuable for their team. What's up, Norman Sane? I believe I got that right. What's up? How you doing? Saying Celtics in that groove. I agree. Saying they just need to stay healthy and involve the bench more. try best rotations. KP should not play too much. I think KP's been doing fantastic when KP's been out on the floor. He's been absolutely great for the Boston Celtics since he's coming back from his injury. And in those months of January where the Celtics were really slow, KP was one of those main factors that was keeping the Celtics in the game. They were going to him in that low post where he was very, very successful versus, teams like the Golden State Warriors, which I can vividly remember when the Celtics blew them out. He was a major X factor in that game. And not only to that, but he also has been pretty solid from three-point range as well. He had a stretch where he was shooting, 50% from three-point range, hitting 2, 3, 4 threes per game, which is crazy to see from a 7-footer. So you got to respect that with Kristaps Porziņģis. But I do agree with you that they just need to stay healthy. I do believe that is the one caveat for this Celtics team and will be the one kryptonite going into the playoffs is how healthy can this Celtics team stay compared to the rest of the Eastern Conference? Because I do believe that the Celtics are one of those top teams in the East and that they still hold that stature. But obviously, some of these teams in the Eastern Conference got better. We saw with Cleveland, they're actually a pretty solid team with a good head coach, and if they're healthy, they can be some competence. The Knicks, even though the Celtics have beaten them in the regular season, they could potentially sneak a game or possibly two in a playoff series. And there's also some underdog teams as well. The Pacers match up very well against the Celtics. The Bucks sometimes seem to dominate versus the Celtics. So I do believe that this Eastern Conference is a little bit stronger, but I do think that with the Boston Celtics, if they are to stay healthy, they can take down any of those teams. It's just if they weren't healthy, what matchup would really ruin them? If they didn't have any centers and they ran into Giannis Antetokounmpo, that would be tough. I was watching Lakers last night. Rui tried to cornet contest. Oh, really? I didn't know that, Crampy. I did not know that. I know you got off to watch the game. How was it? That's actually kind of wild. Pistons been on fire recently too. Yeah, I believe they're on a 7-game win streak. Believe that. They're trying to get to 8. We need him when it counts. Only like. Oh, Charles Miller, I appreciate you for hitting the like button. And for all those that are enjoying the show, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit that like button over on the channel so that we can get more people in the stream. And I got the name right. Let's go. Let's go. I love it. Patrick Barron is here. What's up, Patrick? I see you in the comment section all the time. Glad to see you pop out for a stream. Thank you so much for showing your support. He's saying, I love how Doncic told his ex-boss last night with a triple-double, LOL. No, I love that too. I don't know if you saw the clips either, but I saw a clip on Twitter where he was doing like where he was doing a push-up. Sorry, he was doing some push-ups in front of Nico Harrison. I thought that was kind of funny, even though it was like a little clowny and trolly. I thought that was funny. And like I said, I think that's the best part about this is we all can admit, right? Mavericks fans, everyone across the NBA agrees that this trade was a bad trade for the Mavericks, excuse me. So just seeing it all unfold and kind of go down, regardless of the memes and stuff, is just kind of crazy to see. And like you mentioned, dropping a triple-double versus old team, we all knew that revenge was going to happen. He hit that 3, stared down the Mavericks bench. It was just absolutely iconic. No way, what happened to NBA Central? Oh, never mind. I don't know. But let's get back into the breakdown as second half Doncic look gassed. No, that's not good. That's not good. But that's expected. It's expected. But let's look at this Celtics team as we've seen, like I mentioned, them play pretty solid in this last couple of stretch. We obviously saw this with the Bulls, Pelicans. They got this comeback win versus the Sixers, and then the Cavs. They lost that Mavericks game without Jrue Holiday, but since then, they have not lost, ladies and gentlemen, beating the Knicks on the road in Madison Square Garden, absolutely dominating, taking on the Miami Heat and absolutely befuddling them as well on the road, taking on the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama's last game of the regular season. They've tried to come back, no worries, no problems. The Sixers, fully healthy roster, stayed no pat for this Celtics team as after the Celtics lost to them on Christmas, they said it's not happening again, and they got revenge, right? Look at these last 3 games, all versus not only Eastern Conference opponents, but Atlantic Division opponents as well. These are big games for the Boston Celtics, and you see them obviously beat the 76ers, beat the New York Knicks, beat the Toronto Raptors. Those are key games, specifically as well with the Sixers obviously struggling. You want to beat them. The Knicks, you want to show that you can beat them in the regular season still. And then looking at the Toronto Raptors, they absolutely blew you out last time you played them. And having the Boston Celtics absolutely come out and absolutely enthrall against this team was great. First quarter, absolutely fantastic. Outscored them. Even in the second quarter, a quarter where it felt like the Raptors kind of crawled back, kind of felt like they got back into it. The Celtics still outscored them. The only quarter the Raptors were able to outscore the Boston Celtics was in the fourth quarter. And yes, they did have some, 10-point runs throughout the game, the Raptors, where the Celtics did go cold on offense, but the Celtics were able to rebound back with that, with clutch three-pointers from Derrick White, specifically in the fourth quarter. 22 points, but not only just that, 2 big blocks as well for your boy Derrick White. Jaylen Brown, like I mentioned, did get injured in this game, didn't really play much of the third, but when he came back, looked pretty solid. Jayson Tatum doing what he does best, 11 assists, had 9 at halftime, which was a career high for Jayson Tatum. You love to see it. Absolutely doing what he does best. Severely underrated, not only as a superstar, but as a playmaker, as a defender, as a rebounder. Jayson Tatum isn't just a superstar who's going to fill up the stat sheet by just scoring points and shooting high percentages and being an efficient scorer. He's going to do other things as well that are going to lead to the success of the Celtics team. And if he's having a poor shooting night, he's going to make sure that he is going to take that bag and make sure to help distribute to get those other guys going. And that's exactly what he did in yesterday's contest. You have to appreciate Jayson Tatum, and I don't understand why Jayson Tatum gets so much hate in the mass media or doesn't get as much praise. We saw Darko Rajakovic yesterday say that Jayson Tatum is the best player on the best team in the NBA. That is something that you never hear spoken about Jayson Tatum. That is just great to hear so far, already kind of building up on that. You hear it in the Celtics media sphere, obviously, but not really much outside of the Celtics media sphere. A lot of people that aren't Celtics fans don't like to give Jayson Tatum the credit that necessarily he deserves or should be getting his flowers for, and Jayson Tatum even feels that as well. But like I mentioned, with this game versus the Raptors, it was great to see. We also saw Peyton Pritchard play pretty solid as well, and I want to mention with Peyton Pritchard, he was absolutely electrifying on the reboundings. 7 rebounds for a 6-foot point guard is just crazy, ladies and gentlemen, to see unfold. And he got a key offensive rebound late in the fourth quarter, which was just absolutely perfect, which sparked into a offensive 3 the other way for the Boston Celtics. Those are the things that you just love to see with Peyton Pritchard, with this team, with this Stay Ready group, is that they give it their all. They give it their 100%, and they're going to do all those dirty work things as well and pick up for the slack when those guys are out. A guy like Luke Kornet, who's unfortunately not going to be playing for the Celtics tonight as well with personal reasons, is, one of those guys who does the dirty work on the bench, right? Luke Kornet will go and give the Kornet contest. He'll give that extra pass in the post to get a nice basket. He'll be that extra pass to throw down for the lob threat. He'll come in and slide and get that block in. Every single night, I feel like with Luke Kornet, you see something a little bit different from his game that he does to add to this lineup. Besides shooting threes, obviously, which we haven't seen him do in a while, you see him adding something to this Celtics lineup, something that they are lacking and missing. And I feel like last night we kind of saw that with a guy like Peyton Pritchard, with a guy like Torrey Craig, with a guy like Sam Hauser, doing all those little things that the Celtics intangibly need to succeed as a cohesive unit. And that's why this team is so successful, top to bottom. Not only are their stars talented, guys like Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, obviously they're all-star players around them, guys like Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porziņģis, Derrick White, but they can also step up and deliver when some of those guys are out. Like I've mentioned, the Celtics were short-handed. No Kristaps Porziņģis, no Al Horford, no Jrue Holiday. 3 of their key 6 players were out in last night's game. And even Luke Kornet, 4 of their key 8 or 9 players were out in last night's contest. And they still found a way to come through and win as a team, regardless if it's the Toronto Raptors or bottom team in the Eastern Conference. You still found a way to win and play meaningful winning basketball. A fun game as well for the fans to enjoy, which you got to appreciate. And tonight, they're going to be doing the same thing, taking on the Detroit Pistons. Like I mentioned, Holiday and Horford and KP are back, but no Jaylen Brown, no Luke Kornet in tonight's contest. So without having those 2 guys, you're going to have to value that shooting of Sam Hauser, which I do think will come to play for this Celtics team in tonight's contest, having as an additional wing player. A guy like Torrey Craig, this is what he was brought in for, and unfortunately in yesterday's contest, didn't play the best for the Boston Celtics offensively, 0 for 5 from three-point range, 2 for 7 from the field, but he was wide open when taking those opportunities. And when you see a player like that trying his best and giving it his all and getting, little rim outs and stuff like that, but making the right smart play, it only lets you know that in games where he does hit 2 or 3 of those threes, where even he shoots 40% or 60% from three, he's a 10 or 13 point per game player for the Celtics team and is even a bigger input for this team offensively and defensively. And Craig not only has been great offensively, being a catch and shoot scorer, but defensively, playing some great interior defense, getting some key blocks for this Celtics team in some past games as well. You just got to appreciate the hustle that Torrey Craig really brings. And I saw someone tweet about this yesterday. I don't know off the top of my head who had it exactly, but they said that Torrey Craig fits exactly what the Boston Celtics needed. And once again, Brad Stevens had struck in again, made the right perfect assessment, and picked up the guy that really fit us perfectly. And I couldn't agree more. Another wing that was needed was definitely on our bingo card. And a guy like Torrey Craig is one of those guys who can be that veteran type guy, but also be that hype guy as well, gelling with the team and just enjoying his time in Boston. So I really do love to see that. But let's get into some more of a preview with this Pistons game here before we do sign off as well. No way Elon actually got rid of Sentel. No way. No way. No way Sentel's gone. Can someone do a quick check for me? Can someone do a quick check while I look at this? I love how Cornette has looked. I do too, Patrick. I do too. And speaking about Luke Cornette, I saw a stat today. I believe he has the second most put back points in the NBA. Let me double check this real quick to see if I get the stat correct. Can't believe Sentel got taken away, if that's the truth. Yep. Points at adding possessions. Offensive rebounded minus missed shots minus missed turnovers. So a player who has gotten, no one else in the NBA has a positive differential. Luke Cornette is a plus 43 in adding possessions with offensive rebounds minus missed shots or missing turnovers. And that was from AOP NBA, which is a great stat to see. And I'll be the first one to admit, you can look back at the videos. I was not a big Luke Cornette believer. I thought that player like Namish Keita would eventually overtake him. I am completely wrong, and I'm fully willing to admit that I was wrong. A player like Luke Cornette is in a ballpark ahead where he compares to Namish Keita at this point. And that's no knock on Namish Keita either. He is very solid, but Keita still has some room to grow, where Cornette is an established backup big, if not one of the best backup bigs in the NBA, and on one of the best valuable contracts in the NBA. The Celtics not only have great star players and are lucky enough to have them all on the same roster, but guys like Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Luke Cornette coming off the bench is also a luxury as well. Saw a lineup other day, Hauser, the two tall lineup. I loved it. Yeah, that's what they usually do when they take out JB Cramp, is they usually run Sam Hauser, and that's what I expect them to do in tonight's contest when they play the Pistons. Like I said, with no JB and what? Did we get an update on the injury report yet? Yep, no JB and no Luke. Everyone else is in. I'm guessing it's going to be a Jrue Jrue Holiday, right? Derrick White, Jayson Tatum, Al Horford, Kristaps Porziņģis. Uh, wait, no, huh? No, sorry, no Horford in the starting lineup. KP in the starting lineup with them three and Hauser. So Jrue, Derrick, Hauser, Tatum, KP is my starting five with Craig, Pritchard, Horford, Keita off the bench, adding some extra size just in case if needed to come off the bench, let Horford kind of rotate into that and add that shooting with Sam Hauser into that lineup. I think versus the Pistons team, they obviously are going to be rebounding, are going to be pretty solid, but Celtics are going to need some scores on the wings as well to combat with guys like Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, etc., etc. So I do think a guy like Hauser could be in the starting lineup. What's up, Live Gun? Saying, hey, Bruce, just dropping by. Never missed a video post. Can't wait for the playoffs to start. Well, thank you so much, Live Gun. I appreciate that. And I know you are a longtime viewer. I remember you being in the streams when we used to do the watch along. So I do want to say thank you for coming into the stream today, tuning in, and for checking out the videos. And a huge shout out not just to you, but everybody that checks out the videos and stays up to date on Celtics Digest. As once again, it's very appreciated with all you guys' support that you guys do bring us. This is something that I'm trying to do as a full-time career and would love to be able to do this full-time and not have to do other stuff as well. So once again, you guys supporting me, showing your love, always being here, talking to me about the Celtics, asking questions is just always great to have just in a perspective. And I can't wait for the playoffs to start either. I do believe that when the playoffs do start, we'll be getting back into the live streams regardless of its a watch along live stream or a post game live stream. We'll kind of have to kind of vary. Maybe we'll switch in between stuff like that. But with Digest Media, hopefully having multiple creators on other teams as well in the future, the possibility of us having a team obviously playing against us in the playoffs with the creator is very likely, and we could do some kind of combo videos. I know that for some of you guys that have been long-term fans, you guys remember Houston, obviously from Heat Digest. Last season we did some duo videos and they were absolutely fantastic. Me and him had some great times breaking down the games, talking about them, and honestly just having some great connections. So if you guys want to see stuff like that, we'll definitely be bringing those. Maybe not with Houston, depending on how the Heat ultimately do in the playoffs. We might not match up against the Miami Heat, but obviously whoever we do match up against will definitely be in contact to try to get them on the stream, obviously. But like I said, when looking at this Pistons game here going in tonight, I think we're going to see a lineup with some more shooting. I do think Horford will come off the bench, but we will have to see what kind of goes down. Trying to figure out if there's going to be any updates here of the starting lineup, but no. I don't think so. Bull's stats in games where he's played at least 20 minutes. Yeah, Bull's been really good. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Everyone's talking about Derrick White is on fire, and I would 100% agree. Derrick White has been that guy, and I'm hoping to see him kind of do that tonight. Once again, like I mentioned, without Jaylen Brown, the Celtics are without, in my opinion, the second best player. So going against some of these teams going against a tough Pistons team, they're going to need some of their better players to stand out. Guys like Derrick White, guys like Kristaps Porziņģis, and the Pistons have a pretty solid team. Like I mentioned, Cade Cunningham has been really good. Tobias Harris post All-Star break has been fantastic as, a great utility role player for this team, helping out with Cade Cunningham, adding some shooting alongside Malik Beasley. Jalen Duran and Isaiah Stewart have worked as a good interior combo. So maybe the Celtics do go kind of double big. Now that I kind of think about it, maybe they do run Horford, but I'd rather have Horford off the bench because if there's no Luke, we saw what they did with Kata last night, and Kata wasn't terrible last night. It's just that he got into foul trouble early, and it resulted in the Celtics having to run some weirder lineups. So with them and they didn't even play Tillman, so I don't necessarily know. We'll have to evaluate. We'll have to wait and see. But the Celtics are 4.5 point favorites going into this game. I'm excited for this contest, and we'll have obviously a post game video coming out once this game does. And like I mentioned with this team, I think that is a top tier team in the East. Before we sign off, let's look at the NBA standings. I've seen some people make some predictions so far for the Celtics and who they could play, and a lot of people want to see the Celtics play up against the Orlando Magic as their playoff matchup. So they are currently seated at the seventh spot, which would mean the Celtics would be playing them at this very moment. And with the Celtics being 6 games out of the first seed versus the Cavaliers, I do think that the Celtics can catch up and possibly could meet the Cavaliers, but at this point, the Cavaliers will be the number 1 seed unless they have a massive fall off. They did make some great acquisitions around the trade deadline, and they have been able to build around that team. But saying that, I do think that the Celtics will be locked in at the second. I don't see them dropping below the Knicks after being able to beat the Knicks in the NBA a pretty couple times. And after the Knicks, they're 9 games ahead on the Pacers, the Bucks, 10 games on the Pistons. I don't see them falling anywhere lower than that, but sitting at the 2 seed will be comfortable for the Celtics team. And I don't think they need to be the number 1 seed to win the playoffs, win the finals, win anything. They could win as the number 2 seed because Cleveland, even though did get better and they have looked great with their new coach and better role players, they still have been inconsistent in the playoffs. And a team like Milwaukee or Indiana, I do believe could give Cleveland a run for their money in the playoffs. With Indiana's fast play, I think that they could easily take advantage of the double big in Cleveland, and I also think with the Bucks, they can kind of match up against that double big a little bit easier. And then you have obviously Dame versus Donovan Mitchell on that other side. Obviously Darius Garland, obviously a little bit better than what the Bucks have as of secondary scoring from that point, but the Bucks with their size could still compete with this Cavaliers team. Now with the Celtics, if they were to get into their playoff matchups right as of right now, this would be the play-in, and they would be playing the 7th seed. So If the season were to end today, the Magic and the Hawks would be playing to play the Boston Celtics, and ultimately I do believe that the Orlando Magic would win that game, even though that they have had some offensive struggles and have been a better defensive team. The Atlanta Hawks have no Jalen Johnson and ultimately have been kind of weird since their acquisitions and moves since the trade deadline. I don't necessarily know what direction they want to go in, and I think that they'll ultimately make the playoffs or be the final team out of the play-in if if the Heat do make it, but I think they'll be on the fringe. But I think the Magic, regardless of their offensive struggles, will still be able to overpower the Hawks and limit them defensively to still overbeat them and play the Celtics. And then they are a pretty good matchup for the Celtics, as the Magic are one of the better teams in the NBA that match up against the Celtics team defensively and have a similar play style. But with the Orlando Magic's offensive struggles and injuries this season, I do think that they would struggle versus a top tier Celtics team who has been in this situation before and is obviously a little bit more composed. Now, obviously, with the injuries, it would be a little bit different, but I think the Celtics would beat the Magic. I think if they matched up against the Heat without Jimmy Butler, they still beat them in a first round series. I think if they took on the Hawks, they'd still win. Bulls, Pistons. I don't see the Pistons realistically falling out unless the Magic pass the Pistons, but I think that at this point the Pistons are kind of on the rise. Now, if a team like the Bucks or the Pacers were kind of fall to the 7th seed, then I'd be a little bit scared. But with the Celtics kind of sitting at the 2 seed, looking comfortable right now, potentially playing, the Magic, Hawks, Heat, Bulls, going into those kind of games, or they can't play the Heat or the Bulls. They can only play the Magic, Hawks, or Heat at this very moment. But depending on, these 4 teams kind of competing, the Magic might be the most likely, but I still think would be easy enough to beat. And then going into the second round, then they would take on, a Knicks Pistons, or who knows, a Knicks Bucks, where maybe the Bucks do get the best of the Knicks in that playoff series. There's a lot of questions to be asked and a lot of possibilities to really unfold with this second half of the season. Like we said, we still got plenty of games to go, roughly right around 20, and that will ultimately pan out for the Boston Celtics and kind of give us their funnel to kind of competing. And even after that, we still know that anything can happen in the playoffs. No one expected just a couple seasons ago that the Heat at the 8th seed would make it to the finals, and they did the very such. So anything could realistically happen. But with this Celtics team, I think them being one of the top tier teams offensively, defensively, having a good coach, having these star players, and consistently being healthy for this season, I think that nothing really stands in their path in the East. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I want to say shout out to everybody that was in the stream today. I do believe with you, Crampy, that Cavs team is the only one that kind of competes with us at this moment, and I still think the Celtics would be able to overpower them. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel. We are signing off on the stream here tonight a little bit early to get ready for the Celtics game. If you want to get some more updates on the Boston Celtics, definitely go and check out How About Them Celtics, as they just went live at 6:30. Definitely going to go be popping and saying what's up to Jack and Sam in their chat. So if you want to get some more Celtics content, definitely check them out. And if you want to stay up to date on everything revolving around the Celtics, make sure to hit the subscribe button on Celtics Digest, as we go live every Wednesday at 6 o'clock talking about this Celtics team. Been a little bit lazy trying to get guests on the channel. That is my fault, but I will be reaching out to a couple people in the next coming weeks, hopefully with the season dying down, to get some more people on here to break down more Celtics, give you guys more insight. But if not, we do appreciate you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us here tonight as we looked at this Celtics team. Like I said, we go live every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, breaking down this team. So if you want to make sure you stay up to date on this squad and tune into these streams like today, you had fun today, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you want updates on the videos, we try to upload it at least once a day here on the channel. If not, we'll get you, in the next day after that. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Signing off on Celtics Digest, I'm Bruce Veliz. Peace out, and have a good one, guys.